My wife and I have been married 35 years this year. That's pretty good. I remembered that. My wife will be proud of me. We actually talked about adoption before we got married. Some of you may know this. The original plan was that we were going to have 2 biological kids, and we were going to adopt 2. But then we found out, we met with a geneticist who told us that if we had biological kids, there was going to be a 1 in 4 chance that we would have a daughter with my eyebrows. And so obviously we were concerned about that. So we did end up adopting 7 children from Los Angeles County foster care system, and it became really a passion of mine. And so I left my previous career and got involved in foster care and adoption ministry, orphan care ministry, and I've been doing that for the past 18 years now. Anglicans for Life is concerned about all of life, from conception to natural death, and that includes after the child is born. As Sharon mentioned earlier, that there's an argument out there that we Christians don't care about the child once they're born, but we do, and we care about the birth moms, we care about the birth dads. And so we want to come alongside families. We want to see churches come alongside families where the mom gives birth and decides to parent her child, and if the dad is involved, if he's involved in parenting as well, we want to come alongside them and support them. If they choose to place the child for adoption, we want to support them in that decision as well. We want to support the adoptive families. We want to support foster families, because a lot of kids end up in the foster care system due to neglect or abuse or abandonment or substance abuse issues in the home. And so we want to see more and more Anglican churches supporting foster care and adoption, family preservation. We want to see more and more families raised up to start taking these children into their homes. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help promote foster care and adoption and orphan care to the Anglican Church of North America. Also here to counsel families, individual families, just talk to them about what some of their options are, maybe what God is calling them to do, what type of adoption that God is calling them to do. I'm here to help churches start foster care and adoption ministries. One example of this was our church in California. I was not with an Anglican church in California, but we were at a Grace Brethren church in Long Beach, California, and very inwardly focused church. A church that was very concerned about, we would support missionaries overseas, but beyond that, we're just, we're putting the walls up and we've got a little moat outside and we're just going to wait for Jesus to come back, right? But that's not the life that God calls us to as Christians. We're supposed to be out there loving other people, loving our neighbor as ourselves, and we can't do that behind walls. And so our pastor realized, we do have a calling to love our city, and so he started supporting people who were involved in ministries, helping other people. We started a grief support ministry. A family started a grief support ministry in our church. We started caring for orphans in Uganda that had been orphaned by AIDS. There were 50-some orphans that we're caring for on a regular basis. And then we started, more and more families started fostering and adopting. And so we would support these families. We would do meal trains for these families. We would host classes and trainings for local foster care agencies. We would host a Christmas party for families at Christmas time. And did prayer vigils for kids in foster care and families in the foster care system. And eventually, it got to the point where it just became infectious. And about 20% of the kids in Sunday school on Sunday morning were either in foster care or had been in foster care and were now adopted. And you just don't see those numbers. And this was a pretty good sized church. And so you can see the impact that church was having on the city. And the city started to notice. And we were able to work with Los Angeles County and mobilize churches to care for kids and families in the foster care system. If LA County and churches can work together, then that can happen anywhere in the country. So I just want to encourage you there too. And our church actually was featured on national TV on CBS television on a show called A Home for the Holidays, and they actually filmed part of our service and interviewed our pastor. And so it was kind of cool to see a Christian church being celebrated for what we should be known for rather than criticized for what we're against. And that's how the culture usually treats us. One last thing I want to mention, and this is a huge thing, the Anglican Adoption Fund. How many of you have heard of the Anglican Adoption Fund? So it used to be underneath the chaplains, and now it's come underneath Anglicans for Life. And it's a fund for Anglican families who are in the process of adopting. Some adoptions can be very expensive. And so this provides money. They apply for the grant. They get a pastor to write a recommendation. Their agency writes a recommendation as well. And we have a committee that's put together to look at these and make decisions on these applications. We just gave away our first grant, so we're very, very excited about that. A military family in Norfolk, Virginia is receiving the first grant. So if your church would like to get involved in that, if you have families that are interested in applying, please point them in our direction. If you'd like to donate, please do that as well. And then just a few things. May is National Foster Care Month. Child Abuse Month is April. And November is Adoption Month. And and it's also Orphan Sunday is in November, and Stand Sunday as well. So if your church would like to do anything for those, any events for those months, please contact me and I'll help you figure out, what would be a good fit for your church.